Shalom. Well, I had a few thoughts, a few different things, and part of it being, well, what they call the Beatitudes in Matthew and all Messiah's words and some other things, if I remember them, which it's not up to us to have that kind of memory. Instead, acknowledge that we can do nothing of self, and then the Father can give after that's done first. Then the real thing could be done that we thought we could do of ourselves and couldn't. And I had hate come to mind, specific verse, but maybe go through some of these as I have the word hate searched also. And the first time I think that, at least on the search here, and I didn't go too much more than that on this word bless. Actually, let me look it up. So see if that's so. I will bless Barak, bless Neil. Oh, of course. Yeah, okay, there is a little bit before, obviously. And Elohim blessed them, the prophecy of his creation. Be fruitful and multiply. Blessed them. Male and female, he created them both and blessed them and called their name Adam. Their name, Adam, or man, as that means. Notice that both are called Adam. Adam, I think, pronounced. Adam, yeah. So, meaning man. So woman is also called man, called Adam. And woman comes from man, and man from woman, so that there can be no boasting for that prideful man that thinks, oh, better than woman, as the world will throw around the sexist.
Strong's H120. Adam.
They both have the first two letters have the same mark, so Adam, and that seems pretty simple to me. Well, it is. The truth is simple. Now it's got those two marks for a reason, because that's who the Father is. If it was different, something different would be about it. It would be something different about it. But here it's the same. And the little T mark, I don't know the names. They have the names that I'm not sure if those are, well, it's all mixed. It's all mixed. What this world did and what they've done with his literal word, or at least what they say these things mean. They don't acknowledge a difference. Now that's a good sign for something, is no acknowledgement or discernment between two things, but combining two different things as one. That is a sign of the beginning of the carnal man, Adam and Eve, because they don't make any discernment between the good and evil. The reason why the good is on the tree is for that purpose, to teach us, to show us that we know no difference between good and evil. That's why it's there. It's not that good is evil and evil is good and they are truly one. The heart that believes it's one is evil, It's the heart that believes that. That's what's evil, is the heart believing good and evil are one, is what the evil is. In truth and reality, light has nothing to do with darkness. Now we have to become that reality, separating the light from darkness. Then needing to become who the Father's image, what his image is, and not becoming him in some kind of pride, as if we're Elohim Almighty, but just as Messiah became and now is, has been in his image. We have to become in his image, according to Genesis. In his image he created them. In our image he created them, like us, and singular. That stands out, the singular and the plural. One of maybe the first contradictions, or contradictions so-called, to man's heart without understanding. The letter appears to contradict, but the letter is just a letter. The heart, the spiritual understanding, the heart meaning of it, the heavenly meaning, is what matters, is the real thing, not what something looks and sounds like only, which is just the devil, the image of the beast. Man only goes by what things sound and look like outwardly, imagery. So they won't make any difference between, one mark and another. Well, the other one they say is also, just the horizontal line is also. So that makes, when a lie is done, what does it do? It makes the truth void. It makes it mean nothing in the heart and mind of people. Now, if the little horizontal dash is also identical to the little T mark, and they're both what on earth is the point of having one and the other right next to each other? What's the point of having both of these next to each other, or two horizontal lines next to each other? And any combination in the same word, what on earth is the point? It means nothing. It's a contradiction. You could say whatever you want and make up whatever you want. That's who the devil is. Those works, not the little markings in the carnal thing. The heart that's doing the works, in this case about this, and then apply it to all things. This is just an example of the heart doing the wickedness that we read of from the beginning, not discerning between good and evil, not making two things, but one when there's two. And he does the backwards Adam. When there should be one, he makes two and divides it when it shouldn't be divided. Man separates. He does the works of what should be one. He does the division. That's what wolves do, scatter. It is who than what the wolf is. It is their job to scatter. And there's a great purpose for all of it existing, for all the evil existing in so many ways, and yet it's all one. Because without the evil, there can't be any glory done to show the Father's glory. There can't be any good seen by us. There's no contrast. There's no learning. There's no overcoming anything. There's nothing. It's just all perfect and good. There would be no knowledge. There would be nothing. There would be no proof of who the Father is. There would be, what life is based on the truth, that it already exists. It wouldn't be life if it didn't exist. Nevertheless, the world's dead anyways and doesn't have life, but that's how it has to be. But there is life available for those that believe, and the many don't want to believe that's true. So then, dying, he shall die. Because he didn't want to, but he got close to the door and walked away on purpose. Turned around and now is pretending to seek truth somewhere about something else out there. Pretending to seek truth, because when the truth came, Adam walked away. When the truth came, Adam turned away on purpose. He didn't do good. Neither did Eve. So out of the presence of Jehovah from the garden. They were driven out because they wanted to do evil. The very thing that no one can admit that's not of him. The very thing that it becomes a struggle for believers to always acknowledge and admit. That's the very thing we're learning. That's the difference between an unbeliever and believer. An unbeliever never does good, never speaks truth, never acknowledges who and what they are from the heart. So then it becomes a tribulation to do his will, which includes all these things. To be able to see self, that it's a sinner, that self is a sinner. It's never been good at any time. It's the good and evil on one tree, the wicked thing. Just because the good is right there next to the evil on the same tree does not mean at all that any good is being done. But that's what someone would think first. Well, there's some good in there. That means it's good. No, that is the sin. The fact that good is right with evil is the sin of all sins. It is the sin. It is the tree. That is the only sin. Mixed. No discernment between good and evil. And there's more to that as you go deeper into that specific truth. There's more to that, but that's sort of like zooming out and saying it in a nutshell as a whole quickly. Just like love, well, let's just get rid of his word and put love. Well, that's a bunch of evil nonsense, because all his word is love. It's what defines love. It means nothing without every detail. It would mean nothing to man's heart, and indeed it doesn't mean anything to man's heart. To the world that doesn't believe, how could it? Doesn't believe in his word. Doesn't even believe the literal word exists. Believes that it's corrupt. If someone believes the lowest thing is corrupt, how do they not believe the same for the heavenly? If they can't believe even in his literal word being the Father's word, how on earth can they believe anything greater in their actual heart? They can't. They just lie to themselves if they say they do. That's the truth. They don't in reality. Their heart doesn't, because it can't. Not if the one thing's happening, so the other, because Messiah taught. If the little thing is not done, how can anything greater be done? If that small thing is not being done, it's also true that the big thing is not being done. It's not. Actually, here's a root word that has that other marking.
Adam. Adam.
Adam. So there's a difference made, because that middle letter has a different mark. Now they say out there in the Far East or wherever people are from, doesn't really matter, that they are both they are just both a like that, exactly the same, no difference between two things. That's a sign something's wrong, that there's a lie somewhere. It's a sign of lying, contradicting. Every time there's a lie, the truth becomes void with no effect. It becomes worthless and meaningless. Therefore, the one will not receive truth by believing someone's lie. It's not that the truth actually becomes this. It's not that. It becomes that to the one that's sinning and believing the lie, which is sin, because it's not testing. It's not asking the Father. It's wanting to believe some man, some group, blindly, willingly, without any testing, without any care in the heart. Then it believes a lie, and for believing a lie, it will be punished and be made foolish. It will believe in foolish things. The Father will give that person to believe, hand over to their own foolishness, of which Adam has no problem doing, ever. And a little bit of restraint is let loose so that he fills himself up with carnal wickedness and foolishness, so that he's becoming a fool in reality for believing a lie. And wherever a lie is truly believed in the heart, the truth that should be there is not there, because both cannot be there at the same time. One has to be going out while the other is coming in. That has to be done. It cannot fully believe a lie and have any truth in its heart at all. Truth's supposed to be in us, so that's why we read. If there's no light in them, if they don't, how do we read it? About the law. If they don't agree with this law, if they don't believe in his law, there is no light in them. It's not in them. It can't be. Father is his law. The law is love, and law and love is his law, and he is his word. Every word. Every word's important because every word came from him. Every detail is important because every detail came from him. Now we can't expect the world to actually believe this, but speaking out of specifically those that claim to, and their works never show it. Their works show contradiction and lies and making the truth void. They will not see the truth in them. They will not receive the truth. If continually receiving lies, what it's not receiving is the truth. So it's working the other way, filling in with lies, purging out truth. It's just getting worse. If anything, it's getting worse. The truth becomes even further away than it was, and further from the garden. Cain now must be a coward and run. He's on the run. Everyone that's a sinner now is on the run like Cain and is a coward. And they had the same beginning as Cain, no different, including every believer. That was all the same. It already is. Either someone is getting closer to the Father or further away from the garden, driven out. It must be so like that because he's righteous. He does not bless sin, and he shows that through their being evil. The only way he can show he's righteous is their being evil. And a punishment, a judgment for evil is the only way he can show and teach us something, namely all things, like we read, as we need all things by the end, and to be on the way of receiving them constantly. The children of Israel, they were said that the first generation said they wouldn't make it, which put a test on the Father that he can't do something, even something simple and easy for him to do compared to what he's already done. It's a lesser thing. How can't he not do a lesser thing if he already created the heavens and earth? Which requires how much power and wisdom, and he can't lead them in the desert. Now they said they wouldn't make it. It's a complaint, it's a sin, it's a wicked test on the Father. This is something that has to be overcome. This is something that I know I've done. I don't know how many times in the heart. Many. And I see that it's evil. I see that it's a false, evil thing to do. It is no good. Then you just become his word perfectly for the sin that it speaks of. It's talking about us. It's talking about self. Never was excluded. Like somehow the world gets everyone, specifically the religion gets everyone to believe they're excluded. The truth doesn't apply to them. The sin doesn't apply to them. Only the Israelites of long ago. Isn't that the answer so often? That proves they believe that in their heart. I thought every word was for our admonition and not theirs. They do believe that word, don't they? They say they do. Now the works will prove whether someone does or not, because those that have faith are doing works. Some 30, some 60, some 100-fold. How much doesn't matter so much right now compared to the truth. The fact that it's being done is what matters. And it is good to want to do more always, but there is a reality to 30, 60, 100. How can a 2-year-old do 100? How can a 5-year-old do more than a 50-year-old? As long as it's being done. The works prove, some lesser, some in the middle, some more. And hopefully it all ends up being more, increasing in the end. Because faith produces the Father's works, and laying down our life and denying ourselves. Through that, he gives us to do his works from the heart. They can't be faked. There must be something there. There must be some works. There must be some kind of love, even if it's just 1% right now, or 5%. See, the enemy has 0%, none. And now we can't condemn someone for having 1%, because we also had 1%. And maybe in pride it's only 1.5 and not so much more than the other. Or maybe it's lesser. So there has to be some pretty strong understanding with all things, without condemnation, which is the only thing this world does. It's a constant attack and assault with condemnation. It's all that anyone knows. So it's like going against a strong river and now trying to swim upstream. It's that difficult. Well, it's impossible without his strength, but that's what it looks like that, because that movement is representing all the peoples strongly doing one thing. In this case, condemnation. Now we single out one thing that it's doing, and it's flowing down strongly. How much work, how much fear to say, I'm going to turn around and go up and keep wanting to say fly. Suspected spam caller. Oh, it's like today for some reason. It's like the third or fourth time. Well, second or third that it says spam caller, but like fourth call. Desperate, people are desperate, so we have to go against that spam caller and not do that to others, which is going to put a test. You really want to do this, the Father says? He will make it obvious. He will make it show, because the river's flowing hard down. If you really want to do this, you will fight and fight against this. But if you don't, that proves you're a liar and you don't really want to do this, because you're going down and going to the ocean with all the other fishes. But we can't believe that we could do it of ourselves. That's pride. And he doesn't expect us to do it on our own, by our own power. And yet we got to find that want to do it without being our own works, which takes a good amount of discernment to see the difference between these two wants, and the difference between our works and his works working in us. Because his works working in us is that we do the work, but it's the Father's work right at the same time as we do it. It's perfectly one, and the moment someone tries to divide it is the moment they're already lying, they're already sinning. They're trying to divide what cannot be divided. It's one. When someone does the Father's works, it is his work while they do the work themselves. It is one. It will look just like to the wicked, to the world, as someone doing their own works, and they can accuse a believer of that anytime they want. That's how easy it is to do evil, because it looks like it to them. They want that to be true. Secret alert, secret. Adam also wants that to be true. He's doing evil willingly on purpose. Don't tell anyone. That's what the whole world and the devil's trying to hide. They do those kind of videos like, don't tell it, they don't want you to know. The government doesn't want you to know. And there might be some truth to that at times. It just depends on what's being said. Are they not the scammer themselves, though? Are they not doing the same thing as what they're accusing, and just trying to sell a product and take away profit from someone else, which you have to take away some profit from someone else that's competing in order to make something. It's got to be taken from someone else. Now, I know there's also someone, I guess you could say, new people that aren't technically taken, but this is the heart. This is the heart of man. Are they doing something different than what they accuse the government of doing? And what is the government? Just some generic word a cover behind many covers. That where do you pinpoint to what the government? Who are the government? Because as soon as one person is pointed at in the political system, they're going to say, I'm just a worker here. I'm just doing my job. There's someone above me. It's their fault. That can be counted on if the finger was pointed, if they were accused, or if something showed up and someone's saying, look at this wicked man, not that we could be doing that wicked pointing of the finger, but that's going to happen. And when that happens, that's what someone will do, point to others and others above them. So that's the constant blame, denial that self is doing any evil or has anything to do with it. It's definitely only someone else. That's a lie. That's the lie of the serpent, that it's only someone else. Every man and woman makes up the world for what it is today. And who on earth wants to be the change? Who wants to be the change they want to see? That want has to be right and real. What if man's want isn't something good? So when someone says, be the change you want to see, are they talking about anything good in the first place? That's the question. Is anything actually good being talked about in the first place from the heart? What do they say by that? What do they mean by that? What's going on in their heart when someone says that? Are they thinking about the Father and his truth when they say that? If not, then what on earth do they say is truth? What on earth are they talking about if it has nothing to do with the creator of the heavens and earth that gives them breath every day? And he can take it away. That he can do pretty easily, because man is like, what is he? Dust. To the Father, less than dust. So the heart needs to become the reality of what it is. Then he will lift us up after acknowledging we're dust and nothing, through being humble. Then he can lift us up for acknowledging what we really are. Pride is just a delusion because it's not acknowledging what it really is. It's not real what pride says itself is. What it thinks about itself is not real or true at all. It's a delusion. What that looks like is being high in the sky in the heavens. Pride is mimicking and masquerading the Father's true lifting up. That's what the devil does with every law, every detail, every work. There's a way to masquerade easily and cheaply and look just like the truth for an image and have nothing to do with it. 180 in the heart, but both are high and lofty, and only one is true and humble. Does it look like truth is humble? No, because it's being lifted up for being humble. What will man see? Lifted up. The image of pride in their mind. They will see someone in the clouds. They think you're prideful for seeing humble. That's all that man can see. It's all he can do. He will see the image of the true, which looks just like the image of the copy of the true, which looks like the evil that copies the true and looks like it. But what's going on in the heart? Man cannot see what humble is. He thinks he knows because he thinks he knows what that looks like. It's never been what he thinks it looks like. It's only ever been what it really is in the heart, the thoughts and intentions of the heart, the thing he runs from. Nobody wants to hear that. No, not the thoughts and intentions of the heart. That's like the devil. That's worse than World War III, to speak and hear the truth and speak of it. To speak of the heart, which is speaking of the truth of the Father's word that concerns and touches the heart at every point. All his law is connected to the heart, and speaking about the heart, the mind and heart, the spirit of man, his heart. The Father will write the law in our heart, in the people's heart, his people's heart. Now, what man thinks that means is writing the commandments on stone, writing them somewhere, pasting them creating the beautiful image that the word is everywhere. That's the best man can do, is what the Israelites did. They never had the law written in their heart. That was a prophecy to come for the new covenant. A proof that it never was in the old with just that verse alone, but there's many witnesses of that truth, but it's one of them. In those days, when those days come, I will write the law in their heart. Isn't it Jeremiah 31:31? One of the places there. I think somewhere around there. I know that's the verse that mentions a new covenant. The only place in all of Scripture, Genesis to Malachi, that mentions the phrase together, new covenant. Jeremiah 31:31. Focus. Having a hard time focusing. Well, that's the problem. You're having a hard time to focus. Constantly going blurry and wondering why, what's going on. I can't focus. Well, that would be our fault, not the Father's fault. But then if it's acknowledged that it's having a hard time to focus, if that's acknowledged, then he can do that. He can make it clear for acknowledging the truth. And that's a pretty simple thing. Then he will give blessing and give a little bit of sight for a blessing to be able to see the difference between two things. And then when that starts happening, the truth is actually meaning something. It's doing something for someone. It's no longer 100% void. Now when the truth is believed and spoken and believed, hearing the truth and believing it, that truth actually does something as a blessing. As a cursing, a lie becomes void. It does not enter the heart of man, the truth. It does nothing for someone's life, their soul, their heart. But when the truth is believed, it's valuable, it means something, it does something. And these things can't be seen on the outside. Therefore, it's worthless to the world. It means nothing. They don't exist because they can't see it. Whatever man doesn't see, it must not exist. Kind of like the Creator. He definitely doesn't exist because he can't see. Even though the evidence is so strong all around, insane amounts of evidence, especially the heavens, because they're literally perfect. Not that the Father's creation isn't perfect for the intended purpose, but there's a lot of evil on earth, thanks to man, and even the animals get cursed for man's sake. How could that be for Adam's sake? How can Adam see any good in the cursing of the animals and the fear? Because of man's sin, they will be cursed now for Adam's sake. What on earth is this? Is that for good or for evil? What would man say? That's definitely evil, right? There's definitely no good in this. There's definitely nothing good to see or to come out of cursing. Well, that's not who the Father is. He makes good come out of evil. That's the only way he works, is making something work out for the good of those that believe in him, trust in him, and don't know how, but they believe anyways that a way is made. And he makes it work out somehow, out of the evil, out of the confusion, out of the sin, out of the darkness. He makes something work out. And that contrast between before and after is so big. That's the point, to see the difference, to see what that looks like, to see what this good that he does looks like. How on earth can good be done without evil? There would be there would be no definition of it. There would be no contrast to see any difference. Now, believer has to learn to hate the evil. That's the purpose too, and love the good. So there's two things that need to be separated constantly. In order to love the good, one has to also love it is loving, hating the evil is also to start loving the good at the same time. Because no one can hate evil for real with the heart for what that actually means and not love good at all. They have some kind of love for good if they have a true hate for evil. Now, does Hitler have any hate for evil? Zero. None. He is the evil and the murderer that he pretends to hate. He is the hypocrite and the monster that he pretends to hate. That's what Hitler is, and anyone doing the works of Adam, the old man. That would make Hitler want to kill the one that said this. Anybody that speaks the truth. Indeed, someone that far down would kill you, would kill me, without a doubt. After killing, once a killer, always a killer. More blood is going to be given to drink. He gives them blood to drink. It's what man wants. He wants to drink blood, so he's given more blood. The Father is a giver. He does give good gifts to man. Man wants blood. He gives more blood. That means he will need more murder. He will need to do and slash more people from the heart, let alone literally. The whole world would hate that Hitler has zero hate for evil. Train. Again, please. They would hate that truth because of what it's really meaning, because it's revealing something in the heart. It's revealing that the image and pretending that people put on for hating evil has been fraudulent and fake. All of it. That how does the devil hate evil truly the way the Father hates evil? Two different things completely. The devil does not hate evil as the Father hates evil. Two different definitions. One is the image of the true, one is the true. One is hatred for evil, and one is the image of the hatred for evil, meaning it just looks like someone hates evil because they put on a puppet act, a show, as the word hypocrite in the New Testament means stage actor. Hypocrite, stage actor. What does the world do best besides stage acting? And everyone is an actor. Isn't that why the devil loves that from Shakespeare so much? Because it's taking pride in the evil that it is. It loves the deception that it is. It loves the pretending and acting that it is, and it commands everyone to learn it from 5 years and older and have a spinning globe spinning around right next to your head every day, or just to be there every day. Now, there is a good way to want good, but that's not happening there. This is wanting deception, brainwashing. There is a good way to want someone to believe the truth and good. Just because there's evil everywhere doesn't mean there's no good way now, as the enemy would claim constantly and accuse you of doing only that evil thing because they don't see or ever have done the good. And it cannot believe anything different than what it is itself. No one in a prison can want others to be outside of prison. They can only want others to be in the prison they are in. That's the real thing in the heart. It can't be changed or denied, but what will the person put on? Stage act. I would never want my enemies here. You're saying that because you lust. You desperately want everyone to be in the prison you're in, and you can't acknowledge it. That's what's happening. It's saying that to cover the reverse 180 in the heart of lusting, desperately wanting others to be in the prison it's in. The prison to sin, prison to evil, and the slave to worshiping self's image and the worship of the image of the beast. It desperately wants that for others because that's what it is. It only says those nice words for the intention of covering that it's doing the opposite in the heart. That's the only reason the words are said out of the mouth from the heart's intentions by the world, is by wanting exactly that for others and now trying to hide it When someone says, I love you out loud and need to show everyone how much they love everyone, they hate that person right in that moment with their heart. They're lusting to murder and are indeed murdering that person with the heart already and trying to cover the guilt of its sin that it's doing, because every sin is judged and man is guilty for what he does. So he covers himself like Adam and Eve do after they sin. They cover themselves. This is what it is. That's what no one believes. That's what's happening. How could the world believe any truth? How could it actually believe it? It can't. It can't. Not apart from belief, not apart from the truth, receiving the truth from him. Apart from his spirit, there's only the devil, the carnal man and the devil. That's it. So someone covers their hate with, I love you. They bless with their lips. They curse inwardly, like we read. That's their covering, is blessing you with their lips. They want you to believe that this blessing with the lips, the show that's put on, is what blessing is, that they're blessing you. They need you to believe the image. That's why they did it. The only intention that's done is because they need you to believe the lie to hide that they hate you viciously, murderously, lustfully. They do not love. They curse secretly and inwardly with murder, or anyone that does the Father's works. They need to put on the image of light and good to look like it, just to look like it. Why? Why was this so-called good done? Only to hide its sin and guilt for the hate it has right in that moment. It's guilty. It's afraid and it's hiding. If it wasn't afraid for doing sin out of cowardly fear, it would not cover itself. Covering self is proof that it's cowardly and fearful after doing the sin in the heart. It is utter proof. No one covers themselves desperately and are not afraid of something. Adam and Eve are afraid. They shake in cowardly fear. Not the true fear needed, but the cowardly fear that leads to more sin and cover-ups. Now it's working like this for everything. Well, that has to be discerned whether any individual thing was done really. But speaking of what's being done in the world the most, when this is done, that can be the only intention when that's done. If it wasn't real, if they didn't actually bless you from their heart, then they did a cover up. They only said those words and created that beautiful image of blessing to hide that they're cursing you. That's it. It's that simple. That's the only intention they did it, because they don't know what blessing is from the heart. The serpent doesn't have any good in it. Adam has no good, never has done good, doesn't know what good is. But all day long, he can put on sheepskin, though. All day long, he can hide his wolf true self, masquerading and pretending to be a believer. And the rest of the world also putting on sheepskin in its own way by pretending to be righteous and good. It's all one. That's who the devil is, a masquerading serpent. Why does he need to look good so all the time? What's going on there, devil? Aren't you free? What happens if the image is torn away? Well, you will see outwardly what it always has been inwardly, which is what's being torn away from the whole world bit by bit as we speak. The image, the prophecy for the whole world now, and not a man's life, because in a man's life, even his image is ripped away at the end and destroyed, meaning he's naked in reality but doesn't believe it, and it's easy to see by all, but the world won't want to see it, therefore they won't, even though it's obvious. But what about the prophecy for the age, for the whole world? What does it look like on a world scale for the whole image at the same time, for the whole world being ripped away and torn apart? And then I see that this is true every generation spiritually. See, it's true every generation. also. Every generation, it's the end for people. So the end is coming. Yes, it is. It always has. This is the end. It always has been. The last days, when it began, it was the beginning of the end. It wasn't the end of the end. It was the beginning of the end, and that end will come, and it's a full circle, because the end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. There's two things to rightly divide, because the important tribulation Messiah speaks of is speaking of the individual's heart, the believer's heart, and the tribulation that overcoming sin and death is, and things that would happen spiritually as the end gets near will happen and will come. And that will only further prove the Father is true, and that his prophecy and his word is perfectly true for the one that sees it. For the one that doesn't, they will see nothing. There will be no proof for them. Peter here, 4:14, if you are reproached for the name of Messiah, blessed are you, for the spirit of glory and of Elohim rests upon you. How does the spirit of glory and Elohim rest upon us? By this happening first. If you are reproached for the name of Messiah, that means something. Not for evil, as the devil does, and then believes he's righteous and is the Messiah himself, literally, is the God of gods in his own heart. Poor me, because I just slaughtered a bunch of people, and now people are doing evil to me. Now he thinks he's righteous and holy when he's just having evil strike back for being wicked and evil and murdering others. No, this is for the name of Messiah. The devil would like to make that look the same, so that the enemy claims he's living these words while murdering others and mixing it with the name of Messiah. Blessed are you, for the spirit of glory and of Elohim rest upon you. Only after the reproach for the name of Messiah comes on their part. See, two different things happening. One thing happened, but for one person, it's blasphemy. On their part, he is blasphemed. They blaspheme Messiah. But on your part, he is glorified. The same work happened, and there's two different results. Man becomes whatever he believes. He is in the condemnation he is because he believes in condemnation and wants to, and condemns himself and wants to be condemned. On their part, he is blasphemed. They blaspheme. Their heart wickedly hates you. They don't think any good of you. They don't think anything that you did was good at all. They actually fully hate you and don't believe you do any good in their actual heart. Now Messiah has to see that, know that, and still do good back to that. So then on a believer needing to walk in Messiah's steps, just as he did. The only way for us to give the glory and have it rest upon us is through evil being done. That's it. And if someone wants the evil to go away, they don't want the Father. They don't want his glory. They don't want anything of him. They must also want that to go away too. That's what has to be learned. The hard thing for a believer is to see that the corrupt is hard and that it wants everything to go away. It just picks and chooses what it wants. What we don't get, what we want. 5% here and receive back the same exactly like we want. No, it's his way. If we don't get reproached for the name of Messiah, there is no spirit of the glory of Elohim resting upon us at all, for anyone. It's only his way. His way or the highway, for real, with authority. Because when man says it, it means nothing when he's talking about himself as God with a gun in his hand. God doesn't need guns. I didn't know gods need guns. I didn't know gods are in cowardly fear, so fearful for their life that it's going to be snatched and taken from them, that they need to have a gun. They need to threaten someone with a gun to kill them because they're so afraid what the enemy in the world hides. They're more afraid than the average person that doesn't use a gun or have a gun to threaten people with. They are even more cowardly fearful, and the works proved it already. It's over. But does it matter to this world? No, the guy would just shoot you and everyone would believe the wicked. Well, for us, it needs to matter, these things, the truth. It's hard seeing the world not even care one sliver for the truth, for any truth, and see that it steps on it like a pig trampling over stuff, over valuable things, just trampling it in the mud. It doesn't care. It's a pig. It's a wolf. It's a dog. So that's a tribulation to see that the world doesn't care, and then care is being given to believers, and they see that it's not to unbelievers. That's a tribulation. Yeah, that's a bad tribulation, a tough one, because it literally actually doesn't care. Those words mean nothing to them. What good does that mean to a pig? Nothing. Now Messiah says, don't hand over your pearls to swine. So there is a way to keep that. But that has to be learned because we don't know what it means at first, and never keep that. We're already going to want to do first whatever handing swirls to swine is, and already have done it first. Now it takes work, power, sweat to actually keep it when the temptation comes with a little bit of knowledge to know what that means. To keep it now, it takes some power. That's how it's for all his word. We can't know what it means unless it's being given, and the only way it can be given is by asking and acknowledging the truth from the heart to him. Okay, I want to read Matthew 5 here. Now this is heavy. This is so much word all at once, over and over again, strong words, because man is against every word, and he doesn't want to acknowledge it. He thinks he already keeps this all and loves it. Oh no, he doesn't. He needs to learn that he doesn't. But they act like they do already, like it's already done, like the race is already finished. They're already perfected. They're saved from Egypt. It's over. They're saved. No, they never made it. While believing they were saved by the golden calf, God, confusing it with the Creator. That's a severe delusion to think it's already there and saved and it never made it. So that's something for a believer to know and to learn and see. To see that we're not there yet, so that we can be on the way for real, by acknowledging we're not there, by not being wicked and prideful about it, about all things. Seeing the multitudes, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him, those that are of Messiah now. He opened his mouth and taught them. Who teaches us? Messiah does. Not that the Father doesn't, but everything is done through Messiah. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Now the rich hate the poor. And we're not talking about the carnal poor. We're not talking about what the world calls poor at all. Zero. Because Messiah says, blessed are the poor in spirit. What image does being poor in spirit, doing a good work from above? That's who Messiah is, poor in spirit. What image does it have? The image of poor people, literally. That's the image. The rich hate the poor. They hate the poor in spirit. Viciously. It offends them greatly. How do they hide that they hate the poor? Viciously. They give to them gifts, bribes, for the purpose of hiding that they hate them and never give to the poor, ever, from the heart, never. Blessed are the poor in spirit, not the rich in spirit. They don't have the kingdom of heaven. For the poor, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth, the promise that the Father gives to all his people, the earth, the land, the kingdom. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. How to be filled? Those that thirst and hunger for righteousness. That can't be fake. That doesn't mean image. That doesn't mean looking like doing it, by going to church, by doing this, by doing that. No, that means doing it in the heart. Every word is about the heart. The world can't get that through its heart. Everything is just the image of the beast. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. How to obtain mercy? Only by being merciful. And if not, then we won't receive mercy, as Messiah taught. Elsewhere we read to be merciful, for if you're not merciful, your heavenly Father won't be merciful to you. We have to figure that out on the way, because that mercy won't come then. Even though he forgave someone, even though someone believes. How could carnal man be in agreement with these two things? Thought you believe, you're done, you're saved. How could he never have mercy on you now? See, it's only going to be enmity and confusion. Blessed are the pure in heart, not the pure in image, pure in heart. There's nothing to see, there's nothing to look at. The wicked need to make sure that there's something to look at, because they're the pure in image. They need to look like what they think pure in heart means, for they shall see Elohim. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of Elohim. Blessed are those who are persecuted. Yes, blessed are those who are persecuted. None of this is easy, not a single word. For righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. What is it not? Blessed are those who are persecuted for unrighteousness' sake, for doing wickedness. No, nothing to do with that, but the enemy will think he's this man. He will think he's this man, that people persecute him because he does evil to others, because he stabs others and murders others, antagonizes others. Then when they do evil and return evil because they know not the truth at all, he will think he's righteous because he's being he caused the persecution by doing evil. He's fulfilling his own prophecy. And if it's self-prophecy, it's a delusion. It's a delusion. If it's a self-prophecy. How easy is it to fulfill self-prophecy? You create the prophecy, you make up the terms, and then you follow the terms you make sure that you can meet and make. That's fulfilling its own prophecy. Will the enemy believe that they're doing the work of fulfilling their own prophecy? Never, never. Are they doing it? Yes, they are. Will they believe they're doing it? Never. Not as long as they're in unbelief. They can't. They won't. They will refuse to, because that would prove they're sinners utterly in their mind. But they're already proven sinners. So why hide? The Creator asks, where are you, Adam? What are you hiding for? It's already proven. That work proved who and what you are. But in the delusional mind, if they lie and hide, they think that hiding is actually working because they're hiding. Hiding must mean I'm hiding. It must mean I'm working. It's working because I'm hiding. Hiding means I hide. No, it doesn't mean it's working just because you say you hide. That's a God in its own mind to think that therefore it speaks, therefore it is. Or rather, therefore it speaks, or not therefore, it speaks and therefore it is. That's what's happening in the mind. It needs to believe that because it said something in its mind, that it's happening. It's God, it's Elohim. It speaks and therefore it is. Now the enemy won't be in any agreement with the truth about it being spotted, about Adam already proven a sinner, about the Father seeing right through that person perfectly and utterly every second of every day. He sees all things. The grave is like light to him, sees right through it. It's no darkness to him, sees right through it. That's what that's meaning, not that it's darkness, literally. But he sees right through the grave, Sheol. He sees through it all. And it's not a covering in reality. It just man thinks that this death, this grave is a covering, hiding him. It's not hiding him. He thinks it is. That's a delusion when it doesn't line up with what reality is. It's not hiding him. That's the Father's truth. He thinks it's hiding him. That doesn't line up with it's not hiding him. Delusion. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you. How could anyone believe that this is a blessing? Not only is it a blessing, where do we read, blessed are you when they don't revile and persecute you? Challenge to the church world and all. Where do we read that? Not only is this true, there is no blessing unless this is happening. There is no true blessing. First a little bit, then more tribulation, then more. The only way that the blessing and faith can increase is by the tribulation and evil increasing, just like it did in Messiah's life to the end. What a hard thing to believe and know in advance. Who could keep going after knowing it? Who would want to? It's pretty hard to. So definitely can't be trusting in self, because self can't do that. It's a joke that self could do that or want that. But nothing is impossible with him. He can do all things. He can do the impossible. Blessed are you when they revile and persecute you and say all kinds. How much? All kinds. Anything and all kinds of evil against you falsely. That's the key. There's nothing falsely about an enemy that thinks he's righteous because he's done evil to others. They will speak truly of that man's evil that he did, but this is falsely. They're lying. That's what we need to be. For his name's sake, for the truth, reviling and persecuting you, as we read, for Messiah's name's sake, and falsely, for my sake. This is his sake. It's happening for his sake. It's proving something. It's to show the Father's glory through his sake. It's really for his sake. That's why it's happening. Rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven, on earth or in heaven. What happens when the world has great riches on earth? What do they believe? That they're rejoicing and exceedingly glad, and that they're very blessed by God because they have riches. While they make no discernment between heaven and earth, even though it's obvious for all to see that the heavens are far above the earth, and what on earth they have no hardly any resemblance. It's just the lowly little image on the earth points to the heavenly things, and they're so far from each other because the one is so much greater. The heavenly things, for great is your reward in heaven, not on earth. There's no promise to have great reward. That's from the devil. Great reward. If you do evil, everything reversed. The more you slaughter, the more you deceive, you will gain fame. You will make riches on earth, the more evil someone does. It's a sure way, to some degree, some 30, some 60, some 100-fold in the devil, in riches and increase. Some won't get what they really, no one gets what they want, because when they get it, they need more. But some won't make it to the level that others make it. In carnal riches, in carnal glory, earthly gain and earthly glory. Messiah did say to have our treasures in heaven. Wherever your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Trampled underfoot by men. Because salt that loses its flavor is not seen as anything. It's worthless. It's seen as bad, so it's trampled. It's good for nothing. but to be thrown out and trampled underfoot by men. And that's how the Father can make something a punishment, is that it's trampled by dirty, rotten men that trample it. Now they're doing evil, but he can make something a punishment by allowing dirty man to trample it under his feet, like a pig tramples over something. Good things are like that to Adam. It's disgusting, worthless things to be trampled over with a disgusted face that's twisting. It's so disgusted at good. Psalm 119:1, Aleph, first letter, 8 verses per letter, and then 22 main letters. Next letter, big chapter, purposed that way. In sections of 8 verses, purposed that way. Blessed are the undefiled in the way, who walk in the law of Jehovah. Blessed are those who keep his testimonies, who seek him with the whole heart. They also do no iniquity. They walk in his ways. Didn't Messiah teach this, that there is no unrighteousness in them? How do we work that out with also reading, he who says that he has no sin is a liar? There is no working it out. Unless someone's asking the Father, how can the understanding be given? Saying the words is not the understanding. It's in the heart, the understanding that needs to be sought after to understand apparent contradiction, because it's not actually, but it will be to those that don't seek him. It will be like that forever. Well, their whole life anyways, which you could say is a forever. That's someone's life. Not using that word as a literal forever with no literal end. You have commanded us to keep your precepts diligently. Oh, that my ways were directed to keep your statutes. Then I would not be ashamed. Because then if we do this, there's no sin to be ashamed of and cover up then like Adam and Eve. When I look into all your commandments, I will praise you with uprightness of heart when I learn your righteous judgments. Learn your righteous judgments. I will keep your statutes. Do not forsake me utterly. How can a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed according to your word. With my whole heart I have sought you. Oh, let me not wander like Cain from your commandments, which is to wander from him, because he is his commandments. Your word I have hidden in my heart. The world cannot see that I might not sin against you. I looked up the word hate, what would come up, and I go through some of the hates. It's pretty important to discern the difference between hate and hate. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? For scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Well, that's not a good hate. This is hating something good. They hate knowledge. The true knowledge, that is. The fear of Jehovah is to hate evil. So hating or fearing the true fear of Jehovah is one with the more this is being done, the more the real hate for evil. Either all is being done or none. Either the whole thing is growing or nothing is growing. Pride and arrogance and the evil way and the perverse mouth I hate. Does the Father do evil for hate? Can't that be claimed so quickly and easily? Ooh, you hate, hater. Father's a hater. Yeah, he is. Nothing to do with man's hate. Nothing at all. His hate is pure. His hate rightly divides and separates everything that needs to be rightly divided and separated. His hate doesn't think evil thoughts, evil intentions, and plans for anyone. He does everything with a good purpose and intention, and he's going to be accused of doing evil because all day long it looks like it, and man has no discernment. Even through his word, strongly looks like it. He's deceived, he's stupid, he's evil. That's what it looks like through the letter of his law, that it can be claimed so easily and quickly because man is deceived and evil and confused. Can man acknowledge it? Well, the reality is no. That's not what this world is. It's not acknowledging it. It's not learning what good and evil is and the difference. It has to start from a baby all over again. It doesn't believe that. As long as it never believes it's a baby that needs to learn everything from scratch, it never will learn anything. It will just think it knows all things. And it will be the Father's enemy till the end of their life, which is only death, wrath, with no prospect for life either, spiritually or naturally. And I say both because someone could be snatched away in a heartbeat. There's no prospect. There's no promise. There's no hope. Or they might live a long life in death. We also read about the 100 years old. Actually, I'll pull that because now that's the perfect time to connect that scripture. Isaiah 65:20 looks like. Blue. $65, right? Okay. How we can read of the things that are already becoming and will come. It is not becoming because it really isn't yet. For those that don't believe, it's not becoming. It's not it right now, and it's not becoming it. How could it believe in anything past that to come if it doesn't have the things right now? It can't. It's all or nothing with the Father. It's who he is. This mixed thing is the biggest abomination. Everything is growing or nothing is growing. Now everything is growing slowly and all of it's growing, or nothing is growing and it's all getting worse. There's no mixing with him. So that he who blesses himself in the earth shall bless himself in the Elohim of truth, and he who swears in the earth shall swear by the Elohim of truth, because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hidden from my eyes. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. We look forward to a new heavens and a new earth. He is speaking of looking forward in the future, times to come, of a new heavens and earth. When we read that where he's saying we look forward to a new heavens and a new earth. This is from the scripture. This is from his word. That's true. And the things now are the important things now. Becoming the new creation now needs to be now, already becoming and spiritually becoming within us. And looking forward to a new heavens and a new earth in the ages to come. The former shall not be remembered or come to mind. We're in the process of spiritually this becoming true, but it's not fully finished. Former things are starting to disappear in believers' life. The old ways, the old things, the love for it. It's like it's not even being remembered. Bit by bit shall not be remembered or come to mind. Only the new, the light, the darkness be fading. Now that doesn't mean there's not more darkness that needs to come and be overcome so that it can be forgotten too. There's more, but that doesn't mean this isn't already happening. It is for believers. Whether they know it or not yet, it's already began. But it will be true. It will be that this word is fully fulfilled. The former shall not be remembered or come to mind. It'll be as if it just passed away and wasn't so bad. That's hard to believe in reality. For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth. Former shall not be remembered or come to mind. But be glad when? To a life that we don't have yet after being dead in the future? Is that what the Father's really doing? This is for us right now. Be glad and rejoice forever in what I create. For behold, I create Jerusalem, New Jerusalem, as a rejoicing and her people a joy. He's doing this. I will rejoice in Jerusalem, that is his people, in Messiah, the new covenant, and joy in my people. The voice of weeping shall no longer be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. There's a weeping that's of death, and there's a crying that's of death. And maybe the Apostle Paul is referencing this, possibly directly, and other scriptures in mind, but he does say that there is a sorrow that leads to death and a sorrow that leads to life, to repentance, which leads to life. There's two different sorrows. Now the bad one, the weeping and the crying, the tears he wipes away, it's in the process of, and yet it will be, it is, and it is to come. It's not finished yet, but it's already true. Those who say his word is not true and that there is nothing now, how could they be believers? They don't even believe in anything. Well, how could an unbeliever believe in a new creation when they are still fully the old creation? That there is nothing new in them. They can't. They're not the reality of this truth. How could it believe whatever it's not? What a tough position. What an impossible one. Well, that's the trap Father puts on all for doing evil. That's the trap someone ends up being in forever in this life. Here it is. No more shall an infant from there live but a few days, nor an old man who has not fulfilled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old. Now there's a contrast with this child, but the sinner, now the child is the contrast to sinner, not the sinner, sinner. Child of Elohim, not the child of Elohim. For the child shall die 100 years old, but the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. So I did say some might be snatched away quickly, some might live a long time in this life, 100 years old maybe. So what good is it if he's accursed for all those years? That's what this is saying here. That might be his punishment to live that long, to some degree. A punishment to live longer, because that's how rotten and miserable it gets in sin. Everything is only disgust and evil, and it grows worse and worse. Without the Father, that's the way. Dying shall be accursed. the sinner. What's this word here? So now we actually have see those two markings again for and consistency in truth, kata or chata.
Strong's H 2398. Chata. Chata.
Chata. Now it said that letter in the front, which is the right side, which is backwards from every other language, as it should be, because we're backwards. All the languages of sin and Babylon is backwards, but Father's language is the only language that's forwards. Everyone else is backwards. When we are the backwards thing, the truth is backwards. If someone's upside down, everything it sees is upside down compared to it. Enmity. The devil says you're upside down. You say to the devil you're upside down. This is what we can expect. Spiritual war. There is no peace. Woe to the one that says and comes for peace and says there's peace. Woe to Solomon for peace, peace. There is none. There's no peace like man calls for. It's a lie. That's not the true peace. He doesn't want true peace. That's the lie. He doesn't want peace. If he wanted peace, he would keep the commandments. He wouldn't go around committing adultery, worshiping other Elohims, statues and everything. He didn't want peace. He wanted blood. He wanted war. No one can do sin and claim they want peace. They can't do it. It's not peace when the false prophet says they want peace. They do not want peace. They do not want it. People will believe they want it because they said so. That's why there's no discernment or testing. People will believe it because the person said so. That's it. If they were to discern it and see a little bit, they would see that they're liars too. They would see that. They don't want to see that they're liars. Messiah didn't come to bring peace on earth. What peace is this? The peace of Solomon. That peace that man thinks he wants, that he thinks calls peace. It's not peace that he wants. He wants war. He wants bloodshed. His heart proves it every day, the works of his heart. Murdering someone is bloodshed. Hating someone out of evil is bloodshed. How could man want peace? What peace is he saying? He wants to sell peace. He wants to sell peace to the people, especially the church world. They say, we have peace in this place. Well, I might as well connect now what just came to mind, because that is the same kind of peace that's being spoken of right now. Trying to separate a false peace from the true peace. Peace, peace, peace. The word does usually become sounding a little weird when you say it over and over again. Jeremiah 29:7 looks like that's it. Jeremiah 27. Okay, the Father has some word for us here. We have to know out of which his word is speaking. From where? From where in the heart? Where does it come out of, and where does it go back to? How does it look? Where does it come from? What is it speaking of? Now we read in Revelation. Anyone that doesn't worship the image of the beast, the mark of the beast, are to be killed. Revelation. So all nations, this is Jeremiah, shall serve him and his son's son until the time of his land comes. And then many nations and great kings shall make him serve them. And it shall be that the nation and kingdom, man, what kind of prophecy is this for the evil that also started and became and always was, and yet always was. And it shall be that the nation and kingdom which will not serve Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, what nation? Babylon, and which will not put its neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation I will punish. says Jehovah, with the sword, the famine, and the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. Therefore, do not listen to your prophets, your diviners, your dreamers, your soothsayers, or your sorcerers, who speak to you, saying, you shall not serve the king of Babylon. Okay, I was expecting the word peace here. Did I miss it? They prophesy a lie to you to remove you far from your land, and I will drive you out, and you will perish. Well, the Father is obviously giving a punishment here. What's one of the most common ways is to be under the yoke and slave to someone or something else as a punishment. Because man doesn't want the Father, he said, here, fill up with what you really want. You'll love the king. You'll love carnality. You'll love this person or that person and worship them. It's what you want. Fill up with it. You got to want it more now. Fill up with it. You don't want me, that's for sure, he says. So he hands them over to what they want. How could someone say they don't want it? It was warned over and over again that this is slavery, that this is death. Over and over and over again, someone is told by the Creator himself directly, don't do this, this is evil, and they do it anyways. Isn't that who Adam and Eve is? Bring under the necks of the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him and his people and live. Why will you die, you and your people, by the sword, by your famine, by the pestilence, as Jehovah has spoken against the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon? Now I believe actually this wasn't the scriptures I was thinking they were, but I believe Nebuchadnezzar here is actually being used as a type of Messiah to serve Messiah. Anybody that does not serve Messiah will die. They will die the spiritual death, that is. Do not listen to the words of the prophets who speak to you, saying, you shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie to you. It doesn't look like that. That's what I'm getting out of this, as with pretty much all his word. Man, it doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that. For I have not sent them, says Jehovah, yet they prophesy a lie in my name. Well, maybe it is here. They in my name they prophesy a lie, that I may drive you out and that you may perish, you and the prophets who prophesy to you. And I spoke to the priests and to all the people, saying, thus says Jehovah, do not listen to the words of your prophets who prophesy to you, saying, behold, the vessel of Jehovah's house will now shortly be brought back from Babylon. Isn't that strange that the church world literally does this? Where they prophesy a lie to you. Don't they say this all the time? Or haven't they said it many times? Shortly be brought back from Babylon, from the slavery. It's coming someday soon, as if it's not already here for those who believe. Do not listen to them. Serve the king of Babylon and live. Why should this city be laid waste? But if they are prophets, and if the word of Jehovah is with them, let them now make intercession to Jehovah of hosts, that the vessels which are left in the house of Jehovah, in the house of the king of Judah and at Jerusalem, do not go. Let me go. 14. I went to the wrong one. Yes, I did start initially reading thinking that it was going to be something and it wasn't. Well, that's a good image and literal picture of what deception looks like. It's what you think that isn't actually what it really is. It's what I thought that really wasn't. Thus says Jehovah to this people, thus they have love to wander. Is he a liar? You do read they loved to wander. You sing about it. Sure looks like they love it to me in the heart, because they do. They have not restrained their feet, therefore Jehovah does not accept them. He will remember their iniquity now, instead of forgiving or forgetting. They will not be forgiven, which is to remember, always on mind that they're sinners and sinning, which is only going to lead to death and punishment. There it is, and punish their sins. Then Jehovah said to me, do not pray for this people, for their good. When they fast, I will not hear their cry. When they offer burnt offering and grain offering, I will not accept them, but I will consume them by the sword, by the famine, and by pestilence. By the pestilence. And then I said, Jehovah, Master Jehovah, behold, the prophets say to them, you shall not see the sword, nor shall you have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. What do the false prophets say? You shall prosper. You shall never be hungry. You shall never have famine. You will gain great riches. You will never see judgment, the sword. No one judges you. You're free in Christ, and you're free from all sin. No bad is coming to you. Nothing bad is going to hurt you. I hear it echoing in my head. You shall not see the sword, nor shall you have famine, but I will give you assured peace in this place. And Jehovah said to me, the prophets prophesy lies in my name. How deceitful is that? I have not sent them, commanded them, nor spoken to them. So what are they really hearing then when they say they heard from him? What are they really hearing when the Father has never spoken, not commanded them, not sent them to do or say any of the things they're saying and doing? Who commanded them? Where is it coming from? It is coming from God, that's for sure. Isn't it of this world? The God of this world. They prophesy to you a false vision. They will call it vision. They won't say the word false. They will leave that out. They will call it a vision. To them, it's a vision. What is it in truth? A false vision. Divination, a worthless thing, and the deceit of their heart. How is the deceit of the heart going to do anyone good? By giving the deceit of their own heart to someone else. It won't. Therefore, thus says Jehovah concerning the prophets who prophesy in my name, who I did not send, and who say, sword and famine shall not be in this land. Conquer our enemies, will never be conquered. We shall be victorious. The gathering is coming. We're all one. We're all whatever, all the things that they say. Getting better. Better times are ahead of us. Liars. Worse times are ahead than they've ever seen before. That's what's ahead. Worse. Sword and famine shall not be in this land. By sword and famine, those prophets shall be consumed, for saying that it's not coming, because that's some great pride and rebellion and lies. It's coming because they said it wouldn't. It's coming right to their bosom, their heart. The sword is coming. Great, great darkness is coming. And to the people to whom they prophesy shall be cast out in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword. They will have no one to bury them nor their wives, their sons, nor their daughters, for I will pour their wickedness on them. How does the Father judge? He pours out wickedness to them. He does wickedness. No, he will pour their wickedness on them. He will pour their own wickedness on them. Their actual wickedness they do. The Father pours it on them. He gives man more of what he already is and wants. Therefore you shall say this word to them, let my eyes flow with tears night and day, and let them not cease. For the virgin daughter of my people has been broken with a mighty stroke and with a very severe blow. If I go out to the field, and behold those slain with the sword. And if I enter the city, then behold those sick from famine. Yes, both prophet and priest go about in a land they do not know. Have you utterly rejected Judah? Has your soul loathed Zion? Why have you stricken us so that there is no healing for us? We looked for peace, but there was no good, and for the time of healing, and there was trouble. We acknowledge, O Jehovah, our wickedness and the iniquity of our fathers, for we have sinned against you. Do not abhor us for your name's sake. Do not disgrace the throne of your glory. Remember, do not break your covenant with us. Are there any among the idols of the nations that can cause rain, or can the heavens give showers? Are you not he, O Jehovah, our Elohim? Therefore we will wait for you, since you have made all these. Wait for the rain. Word poor, reduced to beggary, begging, asking alms, destitute of wealth, influence, position, honor, lowly, afflicted, destitute of the Christian virtues and eternal riches, helpless, powerless to accomplish an end, poor, needy, lacking in anything. Messiah says, blessed are the poor in spirit. Here's some things of what just the word poor is. Destitute, lowly, afflicted, lacking wealth, begging, beggary. How can we ask anything if we're not poor in spirit? If someone thinks they have already, they certainly will never ask or be a beggar for truth, for the heavenly things, and they won't receive the reward. Peacemakers, not warmongers and war makers. Blessed are the peacemakers. Now the world has its definition of what a peacemaker is, which is war. It has nothing to do with the true peace. Let them do what they say peace and truth is. Let the filthy be filthy still. They didn't get that from the Father, what that means. And no one can hide the secret works of the heart, whether they really believe and want that peace will be proven by the works. Persecuted. To make, to run or flee, put to flight, drive away, run swiftly in order to catch a person or thing, to run after. To press, to pursue, running swiftly, to persecute, to be mistreated, suffer persecution. Messiah says, bless those persecuted. For his name's sake. Nobody can fake these beatitudes. What is that for, like kids or something? This is real. Have to accept it. Even rejoice and be exceedingly glad for reviling, persecuting, saying all kinds of evil against you falsely for his sake. And need to make sure that it's not the wicked, because all the wicked think they're righteous for doing wickedness. Have to make sure that this isn't happening because we just did a bunch of evil to someone. And now the person that punches back, the one that punched, oh, I'm persecuted, he punched me. Can anyone see what that is? How foolish that is, how evil that is? You punched him first. You can just expect to get punched back by someone in and of the world. You're persecuted now because you started it by punching someone. Now when someone punches God-man back, God-man gets angry and chases him down. You punched him first. Why are you chasing him? Only God can punch other God-men. No one can punch God-man back. This is severe pride and blind illusion. It is incredible pride and insecurity. That's literally what the world does and what the world teaches to do. It's what Hollywood teaches. Nonstop. What else is there besides evil? Well, there does exist a heavenly Jerusalem, a heavenly kingdom that can be entered. And we read to do everything that we can to enter it, because very few enter. Many press in against it and they cannot enter. What is all this crowd and pressing, like stomping over someone for Black Friday, like just killing someone and stepping on their neck? What is this crowding and pressing Messiah is talking about? Beasts. Man being a beast. It's not seeking the kingdom. It's wanting to rape it and take it for themselves. Rape it and take it should be the church world's message. Rape it and take it. That should be it, because that would be at least speaking some truth for what they're doing. Could at least be said, okay, those are true words they say about themselves, and at least have that much. Rape it and take it. You'll prove whether you rape the kingdom or not. You'll prove with your heart whether you rape the Father's people or not, and steal from them and try to rob them blind and deceive them with gifts. We'll see whether someone does that or not. It's not what they think when they hear those words. It's not some carnal thing, speaking of the heart. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. It's like a needle in a haystack to keep this word. It needs to be rightly divided perfectly. And it doesn't mean any evil at all, and it doesn't contradict. To watch out that your good works are not seen. How is it read? And we went through that before. A little bit of a problem with certain texts, not Messiah's words, but what they tried to replace it with. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Take heed that you do not do your charitable deeds before men to be seen by them. Otherwise, you have no reward from your Father in heaven. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. Okay, so that's enough, right? It sounds like it's a contradiction, but they're not, because two different things are being spoken of in the heart. Two different works are being spoken of in the heart. This is in the heart, the context of giving, charitable deeds. Now they replace that in that new text with your righteousness, and it becomes a hot contradicting mess, making Messiah out to be a liar when they butcher his perfect word. which is Messiah, which is the Father's word. And of course, his word is his word that comes from his word. Therefore, when you do a charitable deed, do not sound a trumpet before you as the hypocrites. Now the context is any kind of giving charitable deed. Does this mean to go to charities? Where do we read that? To go to some system? You don't even know what's going on. That's not what this is. The world says that's what it is. This is not this. A charitable deed is any kind of giving from the heart, and that does and can include giving someone something. If and especially we read to give if they ask. Give if they ask. How will the Father test those words on us? He will send someone to ask. It won't look like he did that, but the real reason in heaven, we have to find out for why someone asked, because they won't think the truth for why they ask. It's because the Father's putting a test on someone, a believer, to see, to bring that word out, to see if we do it. And if we don't do it, there will be sorrow and repentance needed, because that's breaking his command. So we have to learn to do it. Give what they ask. And if they take something, don't search for it or want it back. Let it be. That's a hard thing. But then there is no easy word. We have to do the hard, impossible thing. So then someone will be sent at some point, multiple times. I don't know how many, but more than once for sure. Someone's going to ask. And we're supposed to obey that word, to give whatever they ask. 4 verses in a row that has the same phrase, charitable deed. When you do a charitable deed, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. No partiality, no mixing. Separate it. Separate the left hand from the right so that it doesn't see what the other is doing, meaning in the heart, do this picture, which that's what he teaches. He teaches what this means. We can't do that. We can try to say what it means, but only the Father through Messiah teaches the heart what it really means to see it. Nobody else does that. Only he makes the seed grow and give it life. But we can water, we can plant the seed, but we can't make it grow. We can't actually make it grow. The false prophets believe that they make it grow. They don't even plant the seed to start with, and they believe they make it grow. They don't plant the seed that's the right seed to start with, and they believe they make it grow, save it, give life. That's pride. No man gives life. And yet there is a way that appears that someone can give life because of following his way, knowing we didn't actually do it. But we're a part of the Father doing it in us, through us. That's a big difference to see. One's false, one is true. Messiah didn't do his own works, he did the Father's works. It sure looks like he's healing others, doesn't it? It does look that way. And he is, through the righteous and only way, through the Father working in him, through being humble, doing the Father's works. He's doing it. Without the Father, he does nothing. Without Messiah, we do nothing. We can't do anything. If the Master can do nothing without the Father, then we can do nothing. Because no servant is greater than his master. And if the Master can't do anything without the Father, neither can any of the servants. Can't do good. Can't do any good without Messiah, who is connected to the Father. That's the connection. The root, the vine, the branches, all one. Somehow all one, needing to be one. The oneness that the world does not speak of. They speak of a different one, the devil's oneness. There is no oneness when man speaks of this oneness from the world. Now the point of the left hand and your right is that it may be done in secret, with no intention to do the opposite, like we read above, to blow the trumpet, to let everyone know you just did a charitable deed. Never do. Don't do this, we read. And your Father who sees in secret in the secret place in the darkness will himself reward you openly. Those that do it and sound the trumpet openly, they're not keeping this word. They're doing evil. They're not giving charitable deed according to what that is. They're doing sin. They're only doing it for themselves so that other people see that they are righteous. That's why they sound the trumpet when they do their charitable deed, which is only ever carnal things and never includes giving the truth, his word. Only carnal things. It's for self, using someone to make self look righteous, to hide sins. Because if the people believe someone's righteous, they will not see that person's sin. They will see his covering. They will see his fig leaves on his naked body. That's the point. That's the intention for why Adam and Eve cover themselves, to see the fig leaves as if they can trick the creator of the heavens and earth. It's a deceitful, evil heart to deceive the masses, everyone, about who and what someone is, that they are their covering. Nobody is their covering. It's not real. When that covering's stripped, that's what they are. Sinners, naked. They're still that, despite the covering of self, covering self. That's pretty evil when that's the only intention, because no one can do good and evil at the same time. They either did that work and obeyed this word, or they broke it fully. They didn't do both. They did one or the other in the heart. That's it, period. They can't do both at the same time. If someone blew the trumpet, they didn't keep Messiah's word. They didn't do a charitable deed. They didn't actually give at all. It just looked like it. The only reason they did it and the intention they did it is to look good, to be seen as good by the masses, by the others, by the crowd, so that it hides their sin, that they are not givers. That's why they give, out of guilt. They think they can forgive themselves by doing forced giving every now and then to cover their own sins and forgive themselves. Because remember, God can forgive sins. So it's a God in its own mind. It tries to forgive itself and it can't. It never works, but it keeps desperately needing to believe it works. It's not going to work. They will be even more guilty now for breaking another command, even more guilty for breaking an even worse thing by sounding the trumpet and alarm for how righteous they are. Not doing it in secret, it definitely means they didn't do any good at all. That's what it is. Now let your light so shine, the good works the Father does in his people. Let shine. This is not the exact same thing as doing charitable deeds in secret with the right intention. This is to be seen, that they may see your good works, which are the Father's works, and glorify your Father in heaven. Why would they glorify the Father in heaven if they see your works? Because these your works are the Father's works working as one, just as Messiah is the example of doing the Father's works. To see the Father's works in Messiah is to give glory to the Father, because that's where it's coming from. They're his works. Father's works in Messiah, and they did not believe that. Messiah told them this truth, and they did not believe it. If you don't believe me, believe in the works, he said. At least believe in the works. They couldn't. They didn't believe in the works either. A good work is not committing adultery. A good work is not murdering, which is love. A good work is not doing something evil back after evil is done. All these works can be seen. This, he says, let your light so shine. Do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy. So if he didn't come to destroy, there is nothing that has to do with destroying or doing away, but to fulfill the opposite. double strong. He did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. Surely I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one jot or one tittle will by no means pass from the law till all is fulfilled. Whoever therefore breaks one of the least of these commandments and teaches men so, this is for the least, to bring out the point how important even the least is, shall be called least in the kingdom. And that contrast is to bring out that even the least of these commandments are so important that if this is being done, they will absolutely be called the least for calling his word the least, as if it's less important or not important at all. But whoever does and teaches them shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. There's the contrast to bring out the importance for even the least of these, and that none of it's gone away. For I say to you that unless your righteousness exceeds the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. If someone has to enter the kingdom of heaven to be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. No one can be called least in truth in the kingdom of heaven without entering it. But whoever does and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. You have to be entered in the kingdom to be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So this is to bring out the importance of not passing away, and that the least of these commandments are important. That if someone calls them the least, they are the least. That's how important it is. But it doesn't stop there. If the righteousness doesn't exceed the righteousness, self-righteousness, man's righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, the hypocrites that didn't believe, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Not even enter it. If the righteousness doesn't exceed their righteousness. The only way to exceed their righteousness is the Father's righteousness. That has nothing to do with man's works, with their works of self-righteousness. Can't even enter. So then the only reason Messiah is saying something where it sounds like you can still teach people that the commandments are gone, that they're not important, and teaches men so that you could still be called least in the kingdom. No, you can't. You won't even enter it. It's the exact opposite of what it sounds and looks like for meaning. The exact opposite of what it sounds and looks like is the meaning. Won't even enter the kingdom of heaven if that's being done, because the righteousness has to exceed. And doing that work, calling his commandments worthless and void, some are there, some are gone, and teaching men so, is doing wickedness and not righteousness. It's doing the righteousness of man. Scribes and Pharisees have to exceed the righteousness of scribes and Pharisees. They're so righteous, aren't they? Well, if it's not exceeded, truly exceeding in every way, has to exceed it to even enter the kingdom of heaven. That makes it sound like a lot has to be done out of self, and it's the exact opposite. Nothing of self needs to be done. It needs to deny itself utterly in order to do the Father's righteous works. It needs to deny its self-righteousness. How often does his word mean the exact opposite of what it sounds and looks like? No one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Elohim and mammon, money. I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. Blessed are you when men hate you, and when they exclude you and revile you and cast out your name as evil for the Son of Man's sake. This is the hate here. Blessed when men hate you, when they exclude you and revile you and cast your name, the thing that means everything to this world, someone's name, their image. They cast out your name as evil, filth, dung, for the Son of Man's sake. Then someone will be blessed. Love your enemies, which is to do good to those who hate you. Now this one's big. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple. The command is to hate father, mother, wife, children, brothers, sisters, yes, and his own life, our own soul, our own life also, or he cannot be my disciple. And if someone's not Messiah's disciple, what are they? Anti-Messiah's disciple. They're not of the Father. They have nothing to do with the Father, because anyone that has nothing to do with Messiah doesn't have anything to do with the true Creator. What will the devil try to do with this verse? Divide what can't be divided. Try to make it mean something else. Change what disciple means. Try to change what disciple means somehow to get away from this, to go around it as if they can. Try to say that only disciples were 2,000 years ago, that this doesn't apply anymore. Whoever does not bear his stake and come after me cannot be my disciple. Which of you, intending to build the tower, does not sit down first and count the cost, whether he has enough to finish it? Lest after he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. What king going to make war against another king does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against with 20,000? Or else, while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks conditions of peace. So likewise, whoever of you does not forsake all that he has cannot be my disciple. Wow, what a requirement. What does that mean to the world, to all these words? Only applying to a few people 2,000 years ago? Is that what they say of it? They definitely aren't in the kingdom and won't enter. That's what their heart already believes. They're already nothing to do with him. They're already fulfilling this prophecy for not having anything to do with him. Now we just read, love your enemies, and Messiah's teaching to hate your father, mother, wife, children, brothers, sisters, and your own life also. Or else he cannot be my disciple if this hate isn't happening. This is a very set apart hate that has nothing to do with man's hate. This is a hate. This is the Father's hate, the same hate that the Father has on the carnal man and all that's evil. This hate does not worship the image of man or someone's image, or as the world likes to say, suck up to, do things for the sake of the image and worshiping it. in order to protect self, of course, save self. He who saves his self shall be destroying it, shall be destroying their soul for saving it. There is no saving it, only destroying. This hate has nothing to do with doing evil works back to someone else, to mother, father, brother, sisters, relatives, and even your own self. It has nothing to do with doing actual evil to others and yourself. Cutting self, destroying self. It's not that. This hate can only be given by the Father to see what it is and be done. It's a hate that nobody has in this world. How do they prove it? By breaking it with the heart, which can be seen all day long. The worship of other people's image, their own image. It can be seen that they don't hate their life and that they don't hate anyone else. It can be seen that they love the carnal man that is someone else and worships that dead image that is only existing to be destroyed and isn't real. It can be seen that it loves what that carnal wickedness is, that is the carnal man. It's a fine line to separate sin and the sinner. Very easy to say those words, impossible to do them. They make it sound like it's doing it just by saying the words. Saying the words is not doing it. Has nothing to do with doing it for saying the words. Once again, if someone didn't say that, if someone said it and are not doing those words, why did they say it? The only intention is to hide that they never keep those words, that they don't know what it means and they don't keep it and they're guilty for not keeping it. That's why they said it, which hides their sin and breaking of what they make themselves look like they keep, so that no one believes they don't break them, so that people see them as righteous. Well, a believer can never be doing that. So people will see a believer as wicked, unrighteous, because we're not to hide and lie and deceive neighbor and make self look and do things for the intention of others seeing us as righteous. If we don't have that on our side, that means we're going to be seen as wicked and unrighteous because we're not trying to hide who and what we are and worship our own image and other people's image. So this hate can be seen whether it's being done at all or not at all. And it works like that with all his words, some 30, some 60, some 100 on this word, as long as it's being done and growing. That's good. There's a set apart disgust for what Adam and Eve is. Messiah's teaching to have this hate, this set apart hate that's carefully rightly divided from actually hating the person and doing evil to them. What a fine line. It is that fine. It sits right next to each other and they are not together. There's a line that separates them. They are not mixed. The east sits right next to the west and they are not mixed. They are far as they can be from each other, even though they sit right up against each other, the east and west. If you go east forever, you'll be going away from west forever. And if we go west, we'll be going away from east forever. It's as far as it can be. Can't be any further than forever. If we walk east, then we're forever going away from west. The perfect opposite direction of west is as far as it gets, but it doesn't look like it. And that's what man goes by, the image. Just the image. It looks like that's not true because east and west sit right next to each other in a circle. There is no west unless someone's going east, and there is no east unless someone's going west. There needs to be a definition of it. There needs to be a walking, moving. Then the circle begins, either the circle of life or the circle of death. It all comes back around, as they say. So evil comes back around to meet thee at thy coming. The grave, Sheol, the pit, the grave is happy to meet thee at thy coming. Happy to see you, we read. Or life is coming back around. Happy to see you at your coming. A good heart and good intentions, but the grave, no, it just makes it look like it's happy to see you. It wants your death, wants your life to be dead. It's happy to see you just like the good. It's happy to see you for wicked, evil intentions, to deceive you so that it can destroy you. That's why it's really happy to see you, so that it can try to destroy you. That's what the enemy does. And all the sons of the enemy do those works. Therefore, Jehovah will wait that he may be gracious to you, and therefore he will be exalted that he may have mercy on you. For Jehovah is Elohim of justice. Blessed are all those who wait for him. That means there's waiting. That really has to be done. Blessed are you who sow beside all waters, who send out freely the feet of the ox and the donkey, the one that gives the good message. So now we call the proud blessed, for those who do wickedness are raised up in pride. They even tempt Elohim. Go free. This is calling good evil and evil good. They bless the greedy and renounce the poor. And now we read in Malachi. So now we call the proud blessed. Boy, that can be tested to see if that's what's happening in this world. See if it isn't so. See if it isn't so. His word utterly true. Looks like we have it in Luke too, right? Luke and Matthew. Blessed are you poor, for yours is the kingdom of Elohim. Blessed are those who hear the word of Elohim and keep it. Blessed are those servants whom the master, when he comes, will find watching. Surely I say to you that he will gird himself and have him sit down to eat and will come and serve him. Now we just read above here, blessed are all those who wait for him. In Isaiah 30. Messiah's words, blessed are those servants whom the master, when he comes, waiting for him, will find watching. If he should come in the second watch or come in the third watch and find them so, blessed are those servants. Revelation, blessed is he who reads and those who hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written in it, for the time is near. Then he said to me, "Right, blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb." And he said to me, "These are the true sayings of Elohim." And towards the end of Revelation, blessed are those who do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, going back to the beginning, and may enter the kingdom through the gates into the city. But outside are dogs and sorcerers and sexually immoral and murderers and idolaters and whoever loves and practices a lie. I, Yehoshua, have sent my angel to testify to you these things in the churches. I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star. And the Spirit and the bride say, "Come," and let him who hears say, "Come," and let him who thirsts come. Whoever desires, let him take the water of life freely. For I testify to anyone who hears the words of the prophecy of this book, if anyone adds to these things, Elohim will add righteous judgment back to him the plagues that are written in this book. And if anyone takes away from the words of the book of this prophecy, Elohim shall take away his part from the book of life, from the holy city, and from the things which are written in this book. He who testifies to these things says, "Surely I am coming quickly." Amen. Even so, Master, come, Master Yehoshua. Very end. The grace of our Master Yehoshua Messiah be with you all. Amen. In the beginning. I think that's it. The beginning is Elohim created the heavens and the earth. That's the end. Recreating the heavens, the new heavens and the earth is the end, which is the beginning. And all creation receives rest, not just part of it. But notice this comes first, before it gets fixed. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of Elohim was hovering over the face of the waters. Darkness, no form, lawless, void. Those that make his word void, it's lawless, it's no form, it's darkness, it's all these things. And then Elohim said, "Let there be light." Man doesn't say this because he turns on a light switch. And then there was light. It's laughable. It's mockery. Evil mockery. Because man speaks, therefore it is. Because he creates an image that looks like he speaks, and therefore it is. He can't actually speak and make anything at any time be whatever he says, anything. No, he can't do that. One time it's proven he can't do that is proof he's no God. One time. Not one time making it look like it's so. That proves now he is that, and ignore every and all times he can do nothing. Just backwards in everything. The way proof works is backwards. 100% backwards. One time he can't do it is the utter proof. Now the Father calls light good, man calls it evil. The Father divides the light from the darkness, man mixes it and sees no difference. The tree of good and evil, light and darkness, he sees no difference. In order to become in the Father's image, we have to be doing his works, who he is. He calls the light day and darkness, he calls night, and not mix those two things up. All in order. All right, peace, take care, seek truth.